How you guys doing? My name's Lester. Pleasure to meet you. Lester Lopez. Um, I was born in Mexico, in Cuernavaca, Morelos, but I was raised in Veracruz. My mom was over here in the United States, and I was out there in Mexico when I was a little kid. She left us out there, and she came to the United States. So she worked over here and brought us from over there for a better life over here. And I just want to thank God for everything and how everything happened, how God is just marvelous and how he works. Things have been amazing. Things have been great. When my mom brought us to the United States, she gave her life to God completely. We used to go to church, but we didn't really understand, you know. We used to be at church all the time. No, I remember, it's true what they say. When you're at church and you're not doing things right, you got I got some pinch. Like behave. I actually did go through that at one point in my life. Un orejón por aquí, una chancla por allá, not doing things right. But I'm happy that I went through all that, and I noticed that people have to go through a lot of things for them to actually give up their lives to God. So I didn't just, when I was a little kid, I didn't surrender my whole life. I could say now that I fully surrendered my life to God, fully surrendered. I wanna walk in His path for the rest of my life. I don't wanna live in sin anymore. I wanna live in obedience. I wanna do things right. And this is just a little intro video of myself. I know this video might not be perfect. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. Things are not gonna be perfect, but it's okay. I recognize that, and I I realize that. So I wanna talk about my journey with God in these videos, and how God is so good. This Bible, I'm new to it. There's a lot of things here that I don't understand, but I know that I'm gonna eventually understand with time. I've always had God since I was a little kid. I've always my mom was Christian. She always used to take me to church. I always knew about God. I was always there, but I was never as close to God. I had never I never fully surrendered my life to Him. Since I was 9 years old, I remember actually when we started going to church, it was like we were like 11 or 12. I just remember that going to church was fun, you know. There was a lot of things that I go to church now and they don't do. Back then, I used to go to church and they used to do these little events where you go out, you go to camps, you do all these things, you go to Big Bear, you do all these things with other families. And I noticed at the church that I go to now and I got baptized by, I seen everyone just leave little by little. I didn't understand why. I figured out that a small church is fine. It doesn't have to be big. It's what it's the relationship that you have with God. And it's not the people you're there to see or to please. Because I can never be careless, I can never be careless. I care about people. I respect people to the fullest extent. I'm full of love. And I just want to show love to others. Because I know how I felt. I know what it was to go through pain. Before coming to the United States, I went through pain. I went through a lot of abuse. I went through abandonment because my mom left us to come here for us. My brother, he came with me when I was young. I still remember that one day we came. The first time we came, we got caught. I remember this lady was telling us, "Oh, remember the name, remember your name. You guys are gonna be this and that's other names. You guys are gonna be another name." Like, she was giving us names to say because obviously we weren't from here, so she was just showing us how to lie. And it was hard because I eventually told the truth. Sadly, it wasn't the right time to say, it wasn't the right place to say the truth because they pulled us aside, and me and my brother, they were like, "Oh, you guys, what are you guys here for? Who are you guys gonna see?" They're like, "You guys, that's not your mom." They knew, I guess they knew that wasn't our mom. They're like, "That's not your mom." And my brother was like, "Yeah, that's our mom, that's our mom." And they lied to me and they told me, "Hey, we could take you to your family. We could show you who your mom is. You just gotta tell us the truth." And I started pouring up, I started crying, and I told the truth. I told them that my name wasn't this and that, and that yes, we came out here to see our family and to care for my mom. And I just remember that I literally gave us up, and we got caught up. We got taken in. That lady, sadly, she got taken to jail. Obviously, I feel I didn't think about it when I was young, and we went to like an orphanage. Um, Gladly, that day that we got to the orphanage, that day they had they had probably brought clothes, like clothes that we could all share and we could all have, because before that I guess they used to have the same clothes every day. I don't know what happened or what was going on with that, but when we got there that day, a bag of clothes and they dumped it, and there was just all types of clothes. And then from there, we used to use each other's clothes because I remember going in there. I remember showering one day, and I remember seeing somebody with my shirt, and I was like, "Hey, that's my shirt. I want it back." I was thinking like, I want that shirt back. But obviously, I wasn't gonna get it back because we all shared clothes in there. I got to meet a couple little kids, out there going through the same thing, and it was crazy. It was cool. I guess it was in some way. I was a little kid. I didn't understand what was going on really. Um, but yeah, we got sent back to Mexico, and the lady that some other lady that brought us from almost the border of Mexico, she took us in, took care of us. Um, but that's something I might get into later on, and um, I'm gonna just this is a little short version of what I want to talk about, and pretty much it's my intro. I won't be talking about God in these videos. I won't be talking about just my journey, how I got to get to know God, how I became closer to God, and how I surrendered my whole life to God. And this is one of them. Like, this is the first video out of many that everything's gonna happen, and I know I'm positive things are gonna go good with this. Um, I still remember that day. I was in a little Honda Civic, but the old hatchback looking ones. I was in the back playing. When I actually made it here, they separated us. Me and my brother couldn't go together no more. I guess they said no. I guess they figured out that, maybe I gave us up. So they're like, yeah, that's not gonna work. Bring them separately. So my brother came first, and then I came after. The lady that brought me, and the people that brought me, they brought me with an ID that I looked like their son. They told me they wanted to adopt me and that I could stay over there with them, but I said no. I want to see my mom. I want to see, I want to be with my family. We were in a hatchback playing, and I was in the back playing tic tac toe. I still remember playing tic tac toe. um, I was playing tic tac toe, and the guy was like, "Oh, that's your son," and they're like, "Yeah, that's my son." And I said, and I look up, and I just look down. She's like, "Oh, keep playing, keep playing." So I just play. I was playing tic tac toe, and I just went in. And I remember that they were like, "Oh, you made it. You're in the United States." And I was like, "Whoa, this." I don't know why I thought it was gonna be something like different. I don't know what was I thinking, but I was like, "Oh, this is the same thing. It's not." you know. But nowadays different. Like now I understand how things are and why. My mom brought us here. I remember getting off the freeway right here on what was I got off Citrus, the freeway right here by Azusa, and we got off. And I remember passing through Azusa High School, Foothill High School. There was this high schools over here, these schools, and they were like, "Oh, that's where you're gonna go growing up," and I did. That's the funny thing. I ended up going to all these schools that they said, and that's when I got to the projects. And I got to the projects. I remember almost getting there. They're like, "Oh, we're here. We're like 1 minute away," and I was just like so nervous. I was looking around. I was like, "Well, oh my God, I'm gonna see my mom. I'm gonna see my mom." And I see my mom standing outside, and she was waving. She was waving at us like like a welcome wave. And I was so happy. I was so happy to see my mom. After so many years that I didn't see my mom, it was just happy. I remember going in those apartments, going inside. It was like 2 story. The projects we lived in the first ones, and she going inside and she was like, "Oh, welcome, mijo. You're welcome." My brother was already there. My little brother, my little sisters were there. My little sister Suheidi, she was in the stroller. And I remember seeing toys everywhere, and I wanted to play with them. And she's like, "Oh, mijo, te vamos a comprar a ti, te vamos a comprar a ti, no te preocupes. Um, a ti te vamos a comprar juguetes con el tiempo." Y sí, yo me acuerdo, I remember all that. That means like, we're gonna buy you stuff throughout time, we're gonna take care of you. It was just nice. And all this is just gonna lead to me giving my life to God. This is just an intro of what my life became. And yes, I got in a lot of trouble. I was in and out of jail, in and out, in and out, in and out so many times. I went to camp, I went to prison, I went to county. I seen